Welcome back. Let us first understand what a DJing software is. For every beginner DJ or every fresher DJ, you might have come across Virtual DJ, a free DJing software that is available on Mac and PC is both. Basically, Virtual DJ is a DJing software which replicates an actual mixer, controller or a CDJ, which we will be discussing in a short while. It is something that the knobs, the players and the mixer is available on the screen. You can mix two tracks using simply your mouse and your keyboard. Some of the most popular and professional DJing softwares available to the market are Recordbox DJ, being a software provided by Pioneer once again. Then there is Serato DJ and Tractor. These three are known as a very popular and professional software which are being used by DJs all over the globe. Virtual DJ is again a very amazing software, but it is not considered to be a very professional software. DJing softwares are usually accompanied by a controller. A DJing controller is nothing but a MIDI device. It replicates everything that is available on a DJing software on our screen. So instead of using a mouse to move a knob, you will actually use your fingers to move that knob. This basically means that the MIDI controller or the DJ controller does not have its own software or its own computer. It basically utilizes the software which is running on your computer and simply replicates it on the screen. So pulling a knob up on the controller will simultaneously pull the knob up on the software. One of the most popular DJing controllers is the Pioneer DDJ400, which is the perfect controller for every beginner DJ who wants to start out learning on a controller. Another segment to Pioneer's collection is the CDJs and the DJMs. CDJ is a professional multiplayer, whereas the DJM is a professional mixer. Usually for every DJing setup, we require two sources of music, basically to run two tracks together to form a mix. There are usually two CDJs and one mixer in order to perform a proper mix. The CDJs can also be 3 or 4, but a basic DJing setup has to have a minimum of 2 CDJs and one mixer. The latest addition to the Pioneer CDJ collection is the CDJ 2000 Nexus 2, which is the most advanced professional multiplayer. I'll be attaching a link to the history of CDJs and DJM in a file down below. Pioneer DJ is not limited by these two. It also includes another segment which is the Standalone Controller, which is a hybrid of a DJing controller and a CDJ. It lies in the middle of both of them. The only difference is that while a DJing controller is a MIDI device which does not have its own software or its own computer, a standalone controller is not as advanced as a CDJ but has its own CPU and its own software to run and play the music. You can simply connect a SD card or a pen drive in order to perform on a standalone controller. The most popular collection by Pioneer in the standalone segment is the XDJ RX1 and RX2. Analog turntable is another important player. Basically, an analog turntable belongs its origin to the early times of DJing, usually associated with the hip-hop DJs. During the early times when there was no digital players, no CDs, no pen drives or any other digital means such as MP3 formats in order to produce music. Basically, an analog turntable uses a vinyl record which is basically put with a needle on top which has a mic in order to produce sound. So now let's come back and understand what do you actually need in order to excel this course and become a very professional DJ sitting at your home. So the very first thing is you need a very decent laptop. It does not require a very high-end specs. It basically requires the minimum and the very decent specs such as a 4 GB RAM and the basic decent storage in order to store your music in there. A decent pair of headphones is also necessary. It is necessary to preview the next track that you will be putting forward in front of the audience. The details and the requirements and the specifications which are necessary when you're buying a new pair of headphones. In today's lesson, let us understand how to source your music. Basically, music sourcing is nothing but downloading your music. But when downloading music, it is very important that you download the correct file format and the correct bitrate of tracks. Now these two terms is something that we will be learning in today's lesson. The very first thing necessary is to understand audio formats. Audio formats is something, the kind of format that you're downloading music. The popular audio formats are MP3 and MP4. MP3 is for the music, MP4 is usually for the video. Before going in depth into the audio formats, it is very imperative to understand the types of audio format. There are basically two types of audio formats, which are lossy and lossless audio formats. Lossless audio formats are superior in terms of lossy audio formats. Lossless audio formats are those formats that you cannot compress in order to reduce the file size, so you cannot lose the sound quality. The popular lossless audio formats are FLAC and .wav. On the other hand, lossy audio formats are those formats that you can compress in order to reduce the file size, and you subsequently lose the audio quality as well. The most important format of this type is MP3. Bitrate. Bitrate is the unit which measures the sound quality of a lossy audio format. Basically, the higher the bitrate, the better the sound quality will be. So there has to be a direct relationship between the bitrate and the sound quality. The highest bitrate, which is obviously for the case of a lossy format, is 320 kbps. The minimum that you should download in a very rare situation should be at 160 kbps. However, as a professional DJ, I would recommend that you should not go below 320 kbps and try to download every track in the highest bitrate possible. Therefore, it can be established that there is a direct relationship between the file size, sound quality and the bitrate. If any one of them goes higher, all three of them is subsequently supposed to rise. The higher the bitrate, the higher the quality and the higher the file size will be. And of course, the vice versa. You must have come across the term a genre. A genre in music is a particular style of music, a particular type of music or a particular sound of music which is distinguished from any other style of music. Usually, a genre is distinguished from another genre by three basic elements. The first and the most important one being the elements. Elements is basically the sound, the kick, the snare and the type of elements or the sounds used in producing a particular track. The second most important thing is the BPM. BPM is the number of beats per minute. It is basically the rhythm, tempo and speed of a particular track. We'll be covering a detailed lesson about the same in the next few lessons. The last thing is the artist that produces the song. Usually every artist has its own style and its own type of music which he produces. For example, Sajanka or Mandragora, which is a psytrance artist, is generally supposed to produce a track which is also supposed to be a psytrance music. Downloading, organizing and knowing your music is very important. It is equally important as doing a seamless mix. Basically, knowing your music helps you to know which track to put the next after this one. Now that you know, it's very important to download the highest quality of formats, preferably if you have the right storage. A lossless format will be the best kind of format that you can download the tracks. Secondly, in order to save storage, which something I do, you can download the highest quality of a lossy format. That is, downloading tracks in a 320 kbps bitrate. There are various DJ pools and a whole lot of websites available for you to purchase and download your music. Beatportcom is one of the best leading music sourcing platform. You can purchase the music on their website, which can be easily googled, beatport.com. Thank you for making it till the end. See you in the next episode. Getting the licks in the band, legacies, family, ain't see them like a plan. Going like I'm a tan, and the killers on the